I'm Sweeney Boo, and I'm the creator of Over My Dead Body, and you're listening to the True North Country Comic Podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. If you want to drop me a line, you can contact me at john@truenorthcountrycomics.com. On this episode, I chat with Sweeney Boo about her new book, Over My Dead Body. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. It's also available on the True North Country Comics channel on YouTube. I invite you to like and subscribe. Sweeney is a comic artist and illustrator living in Montreal, Quebec. When she's not busy drawing witchy girls and hairless cats, she works with various publishers including Boom Studios, Archie Comics, IDW, Marvel, Image Comics, and DC Comics. She's also the author and illustrator of the graphic novel Eat and Love Yourself. Her newest graphic novel, Over My Dead Body, from Harper Alley, is now on sale. Over My Dead Body invites readers to explore the halls of Yunwitty's Institute of Magic and the forbidden forest that lies beyond. In the days leading up to Samhain, the veil between the world of the dead and the living is at its thinnest. One day, everything was exactly as it was supposed to be, and the next, the closest thing Abby ever had to his sister, Noreen, was just gone. Soon a search for answer leads her down a rabbit hole that uncovers more secrets than Abby can handle. As mounting evidence steers her towards the off-limits woods that surround the academy, she begins to see that Noreen's disappearance mysteriously has a lot in common with another girl who went missing all those years ago. And so, without further ado, here's my chat with Sweeney Boo about her new book, Over My Dead Body. Sweeney Boo, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Appreciate your time. Before we get started, though, with all the questions, I want to ask you, what's on your reading table? What are you reading now?
Well, it's funny because I just went to the comic book store last weekend, and I picked up the first issue of Flavor Girls by Loic Locatelli-Kornsky, I think, if I say their name right. It's a new Boom Studios series. It's really pretty. It's very stylish, and it looks like a French, or I'd say like a European, animated, movie. I still have to read it, but I think it's magical girls, but they're fruits or stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to it.
Sure, and something you might continue with in the future.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah.
Cool.
I was really happy there was already 3 issues out. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Something to read for sure. There you go. Well, let's talk about your latest book from Harper Alley called Over My Dead Body. I wonder if you could talk about the story and maybe what inspired you to create it.
Yeah. Well, I was always obsessed with witchcraft, really, since I was a kid. Like everyone, I grew up with Harry Potter. But other than that, is watching Sabrina, and then reading a lot of witch books and stuff like that. So I always wanted to do something of my own in the witch world, but also dark academia is very much something that I like. So I thought that combining both would be fun. So yeah, I guess I kind of tried to build my own witch world, which is really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
To do something that feels new in that vein is really hard, but I'm really happy with where we landed and where it's going. So yeah, it takes place at a New England witch school, and it's a very secluded school. And there's forbidden forest, and there's something weird in that forest, and there's a student that disappears. So our main protagonist is really close to that student, so she takes it upon herself to try to find her. Of course, there's a lot of secrets.
Ah, secrets, yes. Now, was this something that was brewing in the back of your mind, percolating for some time, or was it something you just said, I'm going to sit down this year and just bang out this story and get this done? Is that how did it go, basically?
So I have a weird way of coming up with my stories, is that I love to take time to sketch for myself without any thoughts really, and sometimes just watching TV and stuff like that. And one day I just sketched what became of Abigail, the main character. And usually there's some characters that I sketch that like speak to me more than others. She was one of them, and it was just like I need to do something with her. I always knew I wanted to do like a witch story, but I didn't know when really. So it was like the beginning of the lockdown and all of that, and I was just like, let's roll with it.
Right. Very good. The tagline on most of the websites when they talk about this book, it says that fans of the chilling adventures of Sabrina TV series will like this book. And you mentioned that TV show. Is that a true statement, would you say?
I would say yes and no, in the way of like it definitely is about witchcraft and it's about like teen witches in the same way of like the chilling adventures of Sabrina. You have a school and like witches and warlocks. But other than that, the main theme of the series, like the TV series, is mostly like about Satan and Satanism and all of that, which is something that I don't necessarily have in my book. But I feel though that like maybe the more dark side of the TV series might be very similar with where my book is going.
Okay. Now, let's just talk about that show. I mean, it ended quite abruptly. And then the character showed up on Riverdale. What are your thoughts on that?
Like everyone, it's like when you watch like an MCU movie and then you finally get to see characters that like were on like Spider-Man and all that we were not thinking of like seeing them ever. So like having this like crossover in Riverdale and like the Archie universe actually like blending together, it was quite nice.
Oh, okay, good. So she actually appeared in one of the episodes. I think the last one was in the
Yeah.
classic costume, which was quite unique compared to her own TV show.
Yeah, no, this is what I like about the Archie comics is that there's like it's the whole universe and you have different version of all the characters. So I like that they kind of like go definitely like go nuts with that.
Let's finish talking about Sabrina. Let's get back to your book. That's the main focus here. So, wonder if we could talk a wee bit about the creative process. I know on your website about the book, you actually show you working with the digital pencil, but maybe you could walk me through the creative process. What tools you use specifically to create your book?
So I created my book entirely on my iPad actually with Procreate. This is the only software I use. It's just been absolutely amazing and it makes everything just like so much easier, I think. So I guess yeah, it's the first book that I've just like entirely made with my iPad.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So when you were doing the sketching, you were sitting on the couch watching TV, you were using your iPad that whole time.
Yeah, totally.
Wow. That's cool. And I noted on your site you mentioned that there's a colorist that helped you as well. How did that work?
Yeah. So because like the deadline was coming up and we were like pretty short, so someone came on to like assist me with doing like a flats and like very simple like shading and coloring that way, so I could add all my filters and lights and just like go after like their colors basically. So they were like really helpful that way too. They were really fast. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, that's kind of how we did it.
That's good. Yeah, I know that it can be time consuming, I've heard, to do all those nuances. So having someone to come in and save you some time is beneficial.
Oh yeah, it was incredible.
Sure. I read that you're going to be at the New York Comic Con coming up next month in October. Wondering, what are you most looking forward to doing at that show?
I'm mostly looking forward to just be back at New York Comic Con, honestly. Last time was 2019, so it's one of my favorite shows. But definitely looking forward to see, because it's one of the biggest, so there's usually like a lot of creators. So I'm looking forward to see a lot of like artists and writers and that I like. Also friends, of course. And it's going to be my first time like doing panels and signings and stuff, so I'm just looking forward to the whole thing, I guess.
Sure. Now, speaking of panels, I was reading that you're going to be on a panel called Criminal Compulsion, the Appeal of Crime Fiction. I wonder if you could give us a sneak peek. What will you be talking about on that panel?
So I guess I'm going to be talking about Over My Dead Body and how I came up with the crime thriller story for it. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, panels are always interesting because you get a little bit more of an insight behind the creator. They give more than they can provide in like
Hmm.
a little blurb on the back of a book. You can actually get some
Yeah,
more insight.
you,
So it's beneficial that way. And interaction is good too, right? You can always ask each other questions and compare notes. So that's always a good thing.
yeah, they're usually great fun.
Yeah. So besides New York Comic Con, do you have any other opportunities coming up where you'll be promoting your book?
After New York Comic Con, I'll be in Fan Expo San Francisco late November. And after that, I do not know yet, but I think they'll have like more shows coming up next year.
Yeah, it's been a full year. Now that we've started to come out of this pandemic, I've seen you've
Yeah.
attended more and more, and I think after a while, it's you want to rest for a bit.
Yeah, it's been once a month since like pretty much like June or May, so I kind of want to just sleep a little bit.
Yeah, last time we met up was at Fan Expo
Yeah.
in Toronto, and that was pretty hectic, I tell you. But good crowds, good people, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was the first time in a while doing like a 4-day show, and it's definitely exhausting.
Yes, there you go. Well, I'm glad it worked out for you. So we've been talking about Over My Dead Body. So I want to ask you, what's next for you? So, is there anything that you can talk about that's coming down the pike?
Well, there's stuff that I can't talk about, but what I can say though is that there's another book coming after Over My Dead Body, another one of the same series. So there is the universe is like I'm gonna keep exploring the universe.
Ah, very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know you're doing all sorts of illustrations. You're showing up in covers and that sort of thing sometimes. So I guess we just got to keep a lookout for what you're up to. So maybe you could let people know where they can find out about you online and through social media.
Yeah, so I'm everywhere on like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, trying TikTok a little bit, but with like my name, Sweeney Boo. And yeah, this is where I'm the most active, really.
Thanks to Sweeney for taking time to chat with me. You can discover more about Sweeney on Twitter and Instagram at SWEENEY_BOO and online at SweeneyBoo.com. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to and like this podcast on Apple Podcasts. And please leave a good rating. Also check out the TrueNorthCountryComics.com website and follow along on Twitter at True North Comics. True North Country Comics is now on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel and hit the notification button. Please send your feedback to John at TrueNorthCountryComics.com. Thanks again for listening, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2022.